probably can't chase the gap. I don't think we can chase the gap down on this. That's just probably, I mean, that's gonna be really tough. Like when you got a 0.7% gap down, it's really hard to chase it down. But frankly, like if they're gonna pull the, if they're gonna pull the stimulus kind of, the market's been really hoping for the stimulus, right? If they're gonna pull that, then we're probably gonna fade off a little bit. We're really extended anyways. I think that's just the nature of the game. We're gonna have to shred these things down. We're gonna have to shred these things down. Now, look, in the end, they always get these stimulus deals kind of done. I mean, they're fighting over like $300. Like one group says, let's send $600 to people, and the other group says, let's send $300. Like either way, anybody can live on that. That's where the fucking scam comes in. So they're gonna be fighting over this stuff, and I think we're gonna have some volatility. At this point, if we don't bounce today and rip back over this breakout level, then we're kind of gonna be in a failed breakout scenario, and we may start to come back into this range. And at that point, if we're gonna come back into this range, if you remember, like it's trickier to trade like when you're inside a big range. So just like these are just different things to kind of be mindful. So let's kind of go into it though. There's a lot of stocks that frankly there's a lot of stocks that are really cooking and booking. All right, IMMP. So this thing is up like hundreds of percent. It's already got 35 million shares in volume. What usually happens, like, if you guys were right, if you were watching like GLSI yesterday, what usually happens, like when you get one stock, like just go like bonkers like that, then the next day, like whatever stock has like even like a baseline of a PR out, they start to pump these things, hoping that, they're going to find like the next GLSI. You can see like this thing has got like a big kind of base breakout here. Now look, it's up 200%. So this is not something I'll be personally playing. But in general, like, this is like what a lot of you guys like to do. So have fun with it. Dun, 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 dun. SSPK. Now this looks like, man, this is going to be probably some kind of SPAC. 8 million shares in volume. Man, this thing's up 44%. What was the one that we were trading the other day? SSTK maybe? No. There was another one that we were trading that was like SS something. That thing ran up like 80-90% that day. These SPACs have been hot. I keep this on the list. Oh, STPK, that's what it was. You see this like a star peak. This was the same thing. It opened up at 13. You can see it dipped down to 11. Like at the open, and then it just ramped up like all damn day. So maybe this SSPK, I mean, they got almost the same name. Maybe this one's got it. We can't chase it up 40%. If this thing dumps off at the open, what we want to do is if it dumps off at the open, then we'll see where it holds. If it builds like a little bit of a base, then we'll let this thing shred, right? Then we'll let this thing shred. And why I want to kind of let this thing dump off at the open is that you've got the market. If the market's just going to roll over today, and fade off for a good chunk of the day, then we've got to be like real careful chasing anything up. Frankly, I mean, if they're gonna spread rumors all day, like this is what they do. Hey, stimulus is getting done, and this is getting done, and this is getting done. And the market will spike, and then they'll come back like 10 minutes later and say like, no, we're just joking. And so you're going to get, this could get really ugly, but there's going to be some spikes like on the, kind of fake deals nonstop today and tomorrow. So you're going to have to be careful, like really careful on your entries. Now this one is kind of interesting. I would definitely add that SSPK. And then I think this TGTX, it's got a PR out today. This has got pretty good range. It is fading off a little bit in the pre-market, but you got a nice flat top breakout. That thing is hot. Add that to the list. TGTX, it's already got almost 1 million shares in volume. SSPK, both of these are clean breakouts too. We want to look for really clean plays like that are like clearing out levels, right? If you're gonna have a PR out, it better clear out some levels. Now look, this edit is starting to fade off here. I think this is the day. You know, we had a nice fade on this yesterday. I think, you know, today, I think we should try to shred this thing again. It is a rubber band short. It's up a double. You know, it's not even a small cap company, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar company. If you look at where the 9 EMA is, that's at $44. You got $14 worth of room to pull back. I think this is today's the day. Shit, we should have shorted a little bit into the spike, huh? Analyst upgrades, overweight. Sickle cell. Innocent, seeks FDA approval, blah, 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 blah. You can't hold this one overnight. It's just a day trading kind of vehicle. But in general, right, like we're getting, it's a hot breakout too, but we're just getting a little bit long in the tooth. So I think today's the day. It's gapping up about 8%. Let's see if we pull that rug. This is my favorite today. So if we get a little gap fill action, green to red action, that's going to be hot. Now the Airbnb IPO, I believe, is today, no? Oh, I mean, it's not open yet, but I think hopefully they don't pump this thing too hard before it opens. That DoorDash opened too hot, you know, so there was not really much you could do. Yeah, the DoorDash, it faded off most of the day. They opened it too hot, right? I mean, $68 previously, and man, Airbnb 51, $68. Man, these were going into private markets for like $20 too, like a few months ago. They expected the shares to price between 44 and 50. I mean, this is going to be we're going to trade them, but that's a racket right there. You know what they're doing, right? Is like they're just trying to sell to the retail people. Like they're pumping those things way too hard. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some bounce plays, just in case we need a bounce. Put an alert at 354 on snow. If it hits 354, I think we might be able to try to get a little bounce action on this. I wouldn't like get too aggressive on the bounces till we get a little bit more clarity on the stimulus. But one thing that I think is going to happen is if you have like really speculative names, today's probably going to be a day where these things all roll over, you know, because who's going to want to hold like something like a Blink or something? If the market is going to get smoked out today, like who's going to want to hold like a fucking Blink or like some turd like F-Cell? So like all of these type of stocks are on watch for shorts today, because if the market is going to get smoked out, then it's a risk off event, and you're going to see people like just try to shred out of all these kind of speculative names that have been really moving. So like you got this, right? Like QS has tons of room to fall. If QS loses this base here, I would say like probably maybe around 66, 67. Like this thing has got tons of room. You got your 9 EMA at $52. Like we're gonna have some room. We're gonna have some room to really get shredded on this one. You can see like look at how everything's opening. Like this is gonna be a shit show today. Gut feeling, we try to bounce the open, and then we fade it off. We fade the market later. You know, I think that's where we're gonna be at. You know, we're gonna maybe try a bounce or two at the open, something like a JMIA or a Snow. I don't know for sure. We're gonna have to see how the market holds. JMIA, Snow. You know, we've got a handful of these that, frankly, could be really bounced pretty easily. Yeah, I mean, there's been some good trenders. So, like, if you're thinking, like, you know, you could do, like, a Fubo. I'd stick with, like, on a day like today, I'd stick with larger cap names. I think the thinner ones are going to be, like, super hard. Yeah, the thinner ones are going to be really hard. Like I just take off like anything that's got a spread on it today is probably going to get you in trouble. I think yeah, these kind of stocks like Laser and Blink, we're going to have to short these CIIC. And if we need like a bouncer, then we go with Snow or maybe even like an SQ, something that's like a little bit more meaty, and we should be okay. And then yeah, we got these IPOs, and we'll try to shred these bad boys too. Yeah, I'm not sure on Tesla. It's a failed breakout at this point. Remember they did a cash raise too, so they've done a raise. You're breaking under 9 EMA. One thing to be mindful of on the Tesla is that like anytime the market itself has gotten shredded, Tesla's always the one that like gets shredded the most, because it's also the one that moves up the most. So, like if you see like in September, for example, in like 2 weeks, like it dropped from 500 to 330. So that's like a 40, right? That's a 40% drop. And then if you look at like, during, right, the pandemic phase, I guess we're still in the pandemic, but when the market was getting smoked in the pandemic, it went from 189 to 74. Fuck, why didn't we load up on the 200 SMA, right? So it dropped 50% here, and then, it dropped like 30% here, right? And then it dropped, like 30-40% here. So in general, when Tesla pulls back, it tends to drop 20, 30, 40%. That's just the nature of the game. I think SE is a Chinese stock. I think probably we stay away from this today. Yeah, I think that's going to be, if the Chinese stocks were all getting smoked yesterday. SE is on a bounce spot, but like with PDD doing a failed breakout on some of these things, I think we probably stay away from that. This Peloton is also, Jill, starting to break some support. So I'd probably just leave that alone. Yeah, for now, because if it starts, like you see here, like you broke under these MAs, and then, like for me, like this is probably a good, to me this looks like a short. Actually not, I'm adding it to the short. I think we add that, potentially to shortly, just for day trades. I think maybe it's going to probably settle back into this range for a little bit. Damn, Dada got all the way to $60, huh? Yo! Armand, that's kind of hot. That's hot. Yeah. I like that idea. So you got like 6-7 down days right back in the breakout spot. Good. ZM looks like a potential short too. Look, if we crack under this support here, we got room down to 365 today. That's top of the list too. So we got ZM, Peloton, Edit. We could do TRNE if we need. Bounce plays on Snow, maybe even Fubo. Good. I wouldn't get, yeah, I want you to stick with kind of larger cap names today. I just think it's going to be, I think it's going to be kind of weird today. We're going to need liquidity. We need liquidity. Chewy's all right. Not really anything now. Yesterday it had its earnings out, so it was acting okay. Good. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. INTC. Hey, Jordan. Yeah. This is not my particular style of play that I usually do, but you got room down to like, you're filling the gap a little bit. Maybe room down to like 48, 48.7. I think ZM is top of the list. ZM, Peloton, top of the list. Hey Jay, make sure like stuff like Beam, like looks like a rollover, but it is going to be a little bit thin. Clary, I like the idea of Tesla, NIO, XPEV. That's a good list right there. Hobbs, I don't know the Facebook news in general, but, you know, it's kind of just in range, but it did fade off nicely yesterday. So to me, mRNA looks like a short end of the 90 EMA, but as you guys may have noticed, I'm like 0 for 5 on, after we got that epic day, I'm like 0 for 5 on this thing. I may need to leave this one alone. Good. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. We got TGTX, SSPK, edit for PR plays. We got our text. We'll try to bounce. Snow, Fubo. Oh, yeah. And then we got ZM Peloton for kind of like trend shorts. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. Ah, Tommy Dutcher in the house. Good. Let's shred, guys. Yesterday was fun. Let's try to, you know, I do think one thing, we were a little bit late reacting on the short side yesterday. You know, we started kind of aggressively shorting when the market was over here. But we did miss this kind of like slow bleed in the morning. That was on me. I should have been more cognizant of what's happening. So today we're on the shred. Let's do this, guys. We got the music? Cool. Guys, bootcamp class starts today. As always, I look forward to seeing everybody in class today, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.